the first thing I learned is anytime I feel hopeless, I'm believing a lie about God. So I learned to measure my truth meter by my emotions. I was like, oh, if I'm feeling hopeless, there is some lie either about who God is or who I am and how we're going to be interacting that is going on. So that is the first thing because sometimes you can't actually pay attention to every single thought going through your mind and you don't know, but I can tell you the truth. Anytime you encounter God, it brings hope. So that is the first thing I learned. The next thing I learned is God is not serious all the time and disappointed all the time. Now, this is an interesting thing because if you see God as serious and disappointed, you have to get outside of his nature to experience joy. If you see God as frowning and very stoic, then the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, and maybe one other. Gentleness. Not gentle. That's why I don't know about it. So love, joy. Joy is a fruit of the Spirit. We cannot have the fruit of joy in our life if we're looking at a God who's always sad and who's always mean and who's always stoic. Does that make sense? So I had to begin to change my idea. I actually had to learn that he's laughing at me a lot. He's in a good mood. I know we talk about that all the time, but if you, in your quiet times, do not see God smiling at you and making jokes with you, then you have missed a huge portion of his nature. Because we cannot become joy without seeing and encountering his joy. I remember one of the things I had an encounter, there's a man named Sean Bowles, and we were in a church with him in LA. My husband helped plant that church with him. And I was having a conversation with him one day, and we were talking about the Lord and my relationship with the Lord. And I used to have a very high-stakes voice of God. So the way I describe a high-stakes voice of God is that you hear God, but you think that if you do anything wrong, somebody could die. So oh, God told me I need to go left that way home today. If I don't drive left right now, then I'll probably get into a car wreck. Oh, God told me that I have to wear green today. Probably if I don't wear green, the person who needs to run into me to encounter the Lord won't notice me. This high stakes, hyper detailed God that tells you every single controlling thing about your life. And if you miss any of it, you are going to ruin the world. I mean, I've grown up, because you hear those stories where they're and then God told me not to cross the street. But I did anyway, and the car hit me. And you're oh my gosh, this Christianity is horrible. But I need to remember, never make a mistake. And so I remember, if you are being tormented overhearing the voice of the Lord, it may not be the voice of the Lord. And he actually told me about an encounter he had where God told him, you are listening to a foreboding spirit. That is not who I am. And I realized if you feel when you are interacting with God that it is high stakes, that if you, like I said, if you miss it, it's even though it's one of those things if I make the wrong decision, my whole destiny is ruined. There's only one way to get to who God wants me to be, and if I choose the wrong door, then I'm probably not going to get there. That is not the voice of God. Wouldn't it be a cruel joke if it was dependent on us to get everything right? What would be the point of him dying if we could eventually then earn it again?